Hello guys, and welcome back to another video by the Ameritrasher. So I'm getting all aboard the hype train and doing a quick video, well actually a couple of videos for Kingdom Death Monster. My favourite game, and one which is currently doing very well on Kickstarter. There are lots of questions floating around the internet about Kingdom Death, and I'm hoping that these videos will go some way to sort of alleviate some of them. This video will be basically looking at the core game, which is what you have in front of me. Actually, this is now all of the content in card form, so the models are actually to my right behind me. So this is actually all the content, but we'll be focusing on the core game in this video. And then the second video will just be looking briefly at the different expansions and trying to give you a quick overview of which ones you might want. So, why is it so good? Why is it such an amazing game? It's a bit like an RPG in a box. Okay, here we have a game which is predominantly focused on the settlement, and you're almost like a god managing this settlement and these people going out on little quests to find monsters to hunt, improve their gear and come back. The people die regularly, so it is an RPG. You will get attached to characters, but likewise you will be upset when they die, and you need to go into the game expecting that. It's not a game which is just going to be one character throughout the entire life. I have had one character survive till old age, which I think is about 16 games. And that is across 3 campaigns and over 100 hours. One character has survived that long. Now, I'm maybe not the best tactically sound person, but that gives you an idea of how rare it is to see someone hit old age in Kingdom Death. It's a weird game, it's very nebulous. A lot of the sort of lore and everything around it is shrouded. It's hard to know really what's going on. So it's a very true exploration game. I feel that this almost captured the legacy style that Rob Daviau was going with, in that you have a rulebook with massive amounts of story in it, but you won't want to look at the story until it comes up. When we were backing the first Kickstarter and Adam refused to release the rulebook, I was with the skeptics. I very much thought this was going to be a crap game, and I thought that this is a man hiding behind the fact that he doesn't have a rulebook and using this nonsense of spoilers to justify it. But then you get into the game and you sort of the first time you get swallowed whole by an antelope, you're like, what the hell is happening? And it's a hugely interesting and exciting experience. So in that regard, I think that that's why I love it so much. I really actively think that people have gone the wrong way with the Kickstarter. You don't need everything. This is not an expensive game for what it is. $250 gets you the base game. And that would be vastly the best option for 90% of all people. $200, $250 is a lot of money for sure, but it's only 2 Imperial Assaults. It's 1 Imperial Assault with all of the expansions, and this brings a lot more joy than Imperial Assault for me personally. The expansions are good, and we will go through them in turn, and there are certainly some which really enhance the game, but the game arrived in November. The expansions didn't arrive until February. I'd already played it for 40 hours, 50 hours by then, loving every minute of it. I didn't feel the need for an expansion. If you love something and you want more of it, naturally you're going to always enjoy more. But to a degree, I think that some of the most pure and unadulterated fun is just the core game. The expansions add a bit of bloat, a little bit more rules and all of that sort of stuff that naturally comes with an expansion. The other thing is look at the timings. This is going to be delivered, God willing, middle of next year. So you've got time, say it arrives at Gen Con, so August, you've got time to play the base game. If by then you're really loving it, Black Friday is just a couple of days away, and you can pledge for, or you can buy a lot of the existing expansions on Adam's website for probably half off on the Black Friday day. You're not really needing to take that risk. It might explode, but I think it's already exploded. I think the odds of stockouts and stuff are happening now are much lower than they were prior to the Kickstarter. But that's my take on it. If you are looking to do a Kickstarter pledge and you've never done it before, just be aware that all you have to do is choose the level that you want and then add funds to the point that you want to spend your money. Okay, you don't need to tell anyone that you have set aside some money for the Lion Knight or anything like that. You just add $35, and later on we'll have something called a pledge manager, which is just a list of all of the things you can buy, and you just assign the money you've already spent. We may be able to add more money to it. He's not said, so it's very hard to know whether or not that's a good idea. But I think to be on the safe side, you would be pledging what you want before the Kickstarter ends. Another question I see a lot of is this gambler's chest thing. Who knows? I'm doing this, I think, 2 weeks into the Kickstarter, maybe 1 week actually. So I know as much as you do. It doesn't seem to be particularly good value at present, but it's called the Gambler's Chest for a reason. We are taking a punt on it, and there's a lot locked up there. I think there'll probably be some nuggets of really good game in there. Personally, I probably would back it. That's your stretch goal level, isn't it, basically? So if it was me, I'd probably choose that over the expansions. Just on the virtue that you might get something which is perhaps a bit more unique to the Kickstarter. But that's my thoughts on it. It's a fantastic game. Plays well, plays best with 2, well with 1, really well with 1. 3 and 4, I've played with 3, I have not yet played with 4. If you die, that can cause a bit of resentment, because if you die early on it means you don't have a lot to do. You can control the monster, but it's not quite as engaging, and I suppose there's more downtime and all of that. I think the reality is that the more players you play with, the more difficult it's going to get to the table. The more difficult it's going to get to the table, the longer it's going to take to campaign. This is a long game. You play 20 Lantern Years up to 25. Each one is going to take you roughly 2 hours. It won't quite take that initially, but by the time you get to Lantern Year 20 and you're thinking about all of the different options that are available to you, it is going to probably be 2 hours, 2.5 hours, and with 3 or 4 it will probably be a bit longer. The beauty of the game is that it is so rich and so diverse, and that's what I'm going to try and capture here. Not through gameplay, but just to show you why I love it so much and why this sort of moniker of an RPG is so apt, I feel. A lot of people think that the number of monsters is limiting, and it is. There's only 3 huntable monsters. Be very aware of that going in. You can hunt the lion, which you can start right away. That's the first monster you hunt. The screaming antelope, which you hunt from Lantern Year 2, so you have to hunt 1 lion, and then you can hunt the antelope. And then after that you have the phoenix, which if memory serves is Lantern Year 6. But you'd be silly to go and hunt it at Lantern Year 6 because you would almost certainly die. So those are the 3 monsters you're going to hunt over and over and over again. And it is, to a degree, a little bit repetitive. I'm not going to even try and dispute that. But your character evolves so differently each game. Your AI deck that you're facing within a lion is different each game. The terrain you're suffering is different each game. Everything is different about it, and it doesn't feel repetitive. Hand on heart, it doesn't feel repetitive. Sometimes you would mix it up a bit and you'd like to hunt stuff. The first campaign I fought 1 phoenix, and the rest of the whole time I was fighting lions and antelope, and I still loved every minute of it. You do have these nemesis fights, these big boss fights essentially, that come periodically, about once every 5 years. They are brutally tough. The first time you fight, you think, oh yeah, I might be able to do this, I've done quite well, I killed a lion. But you won't. And then you kill that guy and you're like, oh, this next one, I'd probably be able to do this one, I killed the first one. Really hard. They get a little easier actually as time goes by. The first 2 in my opinion are a lot harder than the last 2, but still pretty brutal stuff. And the final game, the final fight, is nail biting. Some people have said that it's really easy and they've done it in 2 turns. I've never been in a position where my settlement has been equipped anything like that, so it's not ever been like that for me. It's been really down to the wire. But let's crack open the box. We'll have a look at why I think it's so varied, and we're not going to do a massive unboxing or anything like that. Just a brief look at what makes it so special. So So here we are, faced with the Monolith. That is the big black box. This is very, very heavy. I think it's 12 kilograms, something like that now. Pretty, no, 10 kilograms, but yeah, pretty insanely heavy. This is an insert I made, so it's not quite what you will get in the base game, and we're not doing an unboxing anyway. We're going to keep these out. These are the character sheets, and we're just going to use those to illustrate how you can set up a character. Settlement track. I know I said I wasn't going to do an unboxing. This is the event deck. We'll look at 1 or 2 story events just to show you how interesting they can be as well. Big board, really exciting to have. Quite bland in a way, but you're going to put loads of terrain on it, which is going to make life more interesting. And because it's got such a rabid fan base, there's some diligent people out there who have made some pretty stunning resin terrain. So the stone face is now 3-dimensional if you wanted it. Some broken down columns. Just really adds to the game, and they're all readily available on Tinterwebs. So that's that. It's alright, but when you add all of those extra terrain pieces, it can get quite interesting actually. So, within the box you can see this is just all of the cardboard components that we have, and you can see this is all of the expansions. Like I said, the actual cardboard quality is leaves a little to be desired. I don't know if that's going to be improved in 1.5. A lot of people are sort of having a rag on this, saying, oh yeah, it's 1.5, when will 2.0 come out? I think it's fantastic that he's recognised some of the problems with the first game. If you think about it, you've got people, what, 2, 3, 4,000 people who've been buying this game, playing it and loving it. So you've had 4,000 hugely invested playtesters get involved in this game and are now creating it to be like the pinnacle of what it could be. And to me, that's hugely exciting. So really, really cool there. You can see how many, this is the books that come with the expansions at the bottom, rulebook at the top, and I've actually got the settlement sheet in there. That is how many stories and stuff like that that come with the game. So you can sort of start to see that, yes, there's only 3 monsters. We can never get away from that. There is only 3 monsters, but there is a lot of story around those monsters. There's legendary monsters that you might not be aware of that you can get, which are really even cooler. Just to show you that this is now at half mast. Oh, so there you go. That's how many I've used, and then I stopped using those to go and printed off better ones which are available on the internet. So yeah, I'd like to think I've played it quite a bit. So this is why I love this game. If we just sort of zoom in, you can see this is not the insert like we said before. Now, yes, some of these things are expansions, but they're just more, okay? There's nothing here, no sort of connectors that are unique to any given expansion. So here you have the innovations, okay, and this is where my stupid insert, that's the innovation deck. Granted, there's quite a few expansion ones, because there's another deck of cards. Oh, I've zoomed in too far. So look, that is the innovation deck. This is the one my current settlement has got. This is the one that they're working towards. These are all technologies. They let you play differently, play with different tactics, and so on and so forth. Hugely, hugely exciting stuff there. Then you have terrain. So terrain is going to make every single encounter slightly different. Okay. So we've already shown you the stone head. Okay, what about bug places? So there you've got, so if we just zoom out a bit, so tall grass, immediately the fight's easier because it's going to give you +2 evasion, so it's easier to hunt. Acanthus, this is the food of the antelope. Okay, really, really valuable, lets you avoid serious wounds. Toppled pillar blocks line of sight, can give you some tactical positioning. Stone columns, same deal. Bug patch gives you some bugs to harvest, which will open up in cooking. So really interesting there. Survivor corpse just gives you some stuff. Again, you can see there's an error here. No, not on this one, sorry. But there is errors here. Ore vein, that gives you iron, which is for the best thing. Debris is where our error is, and this is something which will get resolved, because 4 to 6 this happens, 8 to 9 this happens. We just play that 7 means that nothing happens, but it's obviously a small typo. There's amazingly few small typos. The Nightmare Tree, very, very interesting. One, and actually its own terrain piece now, and gives you some stuff to harvest. Debris, a lot of the same stuff. Dead Monster totally changes the way the game starts. If it's drawn during the showdown, you may start anywhere on the board and survivors go first. You've ambushed a monster with a fresh kill, and it gives you more resources. Giant Stone Face is going to give you better accuracy with your ranged weapons, which is nice. And there's a tactic that forces that out. So you get a feel for it, okay? Some of these flowers, anything with a little sort of crest on it is an expansion thing. But you can see there's not tons. There's the sinkhole, the lion statue, and then the rest of that is all from the base game. You're not losing out loads here, okay? So that's something to think about. So that's terrain. Then we have weapon proficiencies, something which you might not have realised, okay? But as you harvest weapons, or as you use weapons, you're going to skill up if you can live long enough. So you've got loads of different ones. Fist and tooth, bow, sword, axe. Obviously scythes are a special, I think that's dung beetle knight. Whip, twilight sword, sword, I think the other one must have been a dagger. Katana, shield, spear, mace, and katana is a special one as well. So getting 2 of these are expansions. But if you actually level this up and you get to a master level, then it becomes an even better skill. So this is for the character, but once you get to a mastery of it, every single person in the settlement can now use the specialization. Some of these, if you can get them up, are incredible. Fist and tooth. You may stand, if knocked down, at the start of the monster's turn or the survivor's turn. That doesn't sound very incredible, does it? But when you think that most monsters won't target a knocked down character on the virtue that they're probably not going to be able to get up next turn, suddenly that becomes really interesting, because actually if you can get up and they're not targeting you, it's a way to ablate sort of wounds, to ablate damage. It's really, really cool. So that's my, this is my trouble. I need better foam core here, but never mind. So then you get armor sets. So these are specific to gear. Okay. Each one is going to give you a little bonus. +1 to all hit locations. Get survival back. Leather, lantern, phoenix, screaming, white lion. All of these are from the base game, and then okay, you do get quite a lot from the expansions. But they're going to give you a little sort of goal to gear up. It's not just about having stats, it's about lots of other things. This is where you can start to see the game really take a shine. Each one of these is a different fighting art. Each one will give you something slightly different. Now a lot of these are going to be expansion based. Almost every expansion brings in some of them. Okay, but this one, Fist and Tooth, gains +1 accuracy, +1 strength, and Savage, which means it's far more deadly. So suddenly, I've got an amazing melee fighter, and you can get 2 or 3 of these. Strategist, put down a great giant stone face, so now I've got an amazing archer. These completely change the way your characters evolve. Okay, some of them are insanely generous in what they can do. Okay, so they can be really, really, really game changing. Some of the art, this is the one expansion we'll talk about later, but the Manhunter is seriously dark, so I don't particularly like that, but you've got loads and loads and loads of interesting things, and they all change up what you can do. So it's just really, I mean, this one's really crazy. All melee weapons in your gear grid game paired. So now you can dual wield, and that just changes the game so much. On a perfect hit, do loads more damage. Okay, Clutch Fighter. When you have 3 or more blood, gain +1 strength and +1 accuracy. Suddenly you want to be her. Some really interesting stuff there. So fighting arts, you'll unlock these as you level your character up. Sometimes they'll be specific to certain events, okay, other times they'll just be a random unlock. But that's not all, because we also have these secret fighting arts, and these are bonkers as well. Okay, so King of 1,000 Battles. This this one's probably an okay one to spoil. You're not going to get to see this one. So +2 accuracy, +2 strength, +2 evasion. May dodge any number of times in the round. Okay, pretty bonkers. You have to kill the boss of all bosses to get that one. Okay, Swordsman's Promise. They're all when we have attacked a certain monster and we've learnt something from them. Okay, and we're picking up stuff, and it's, again, a lot of these are expansion based, but so interesting, and they're such a tangible reward when you pull out of a fight. As you get hurt, you're going to lose limbs, you're going to get wounded, but you also are going to suffer mental disorders if you can't face the darkness, and let's face it, a lot of us can't. Look at how many are here again. Nothing is sort of shortchanged. Indecision. If you're an event revealer, make 2 rolls. Pray. You may not suspend survival unless you're insane. So some of these are terrible, terrible, terrible things. Okay. Rageaholic. This one is not. Whenever you suffer a severe injury, you gain Frenzy. Frenzy gives you loads of strength, so and speed. You're going to attack faster and harder, but you can't spend survival, so that can be good, it can be bad. And they're all thematic as well. You'll see that the one which is all to do with the performing, stage fright, shallow lungs, prima donna, unlucky, they're all relevant. Quixotic is very nice if you're insane. So insane means you've got 3 insanity. Depart, gain +1 survival, +1 strength. So that's pretty nice. Immortal, this one's incredible. When you are insane, convert all damage to your hit locations to brain damage. So you could have 30 insanity, so that gives you 30 hit points. And you think, I've broken it. I've literally broken the game, because nothing can kill me, because I'm taking 10 or 20 insanity every turn. And then you'll run across the event which says if you're insane, you run gaily into the monster's mouth, the stone monster you find, and you get swallowed whole, and you're dead. And then suddenly you're like, oh, no, I haven't broken the game. Fear of the dark, you retire. That's the only way I've seen my guys retire, really. But again, this is what I'm trying to allude to. Yes, you are losing out the expansions when you buy just the base game, but you're not losing out. You've got a huge range of fighting arts, you've got a huge range of disorders, and you could play your game 20, 30 times, still not see every single disorder, still not see even remotely every fighting art, and stuff like that. You can see along here you've got the characters. Underneath this bit we have the monster cards, and you can see how they all pan out. So if we were to drop into a lion, you can sort of see what I mean about the variety. So this is the white lion. So this is a base game monster. It's coming with a lot of cards. A lot of these are resources that we're going to draw. You draw 4 of those alongside the 4 basic resources. That's been changed recently, so you're going to get more under sort of other levels of lion. Here we have the hit locations. Okay, so you can see that you've got a stack of hit locations. Now you are going to burn through the hit locations. Okay, it doesn't matter what level monster you're fighting, you are going to burn through those. Okay, there's a trap in there which will catch you out, but you will see all of those, probably even in one fight. There's every chance that could happen. What you won't see is all of these. So these are your AI cards. Okay, so S, that means special. This is only for level 2 or level 3. At the end of each turn, the monster extends its claws. Any adjacent survivors target one at random. Full move the white line away from all stretch. The target suffers grab, and then it tells us what grab is. Grab hurts us, it's bad. But can you see that immediately this has completely changed the way I need to approach the line? I cannot be adjacent to it at the end of the monster turn. If I am screwed, because it can run off with me in its talons. I'm knocked over, which is bad. It moves 6 spaces and heroes can only move 5. I need a way to avoid that, and that would normally be dash, but there are other things that we could see that might help with that. And then you've got basic attacks. Okay, so we're going to draw a random number of basic attacks, but you won't see all of them in any given fight. Okay, some are really, really nasty, some are more powerful. So then we move on to the advanced ones. That's what A means. You can see that they're moods, so that would stay in play permanently, which is really cool, and it's going to change the way we approach it. This one's why you always bring ranged weapons, because it sits down, and if you do anything within there, he clobbers you massively. But you can see you've got all of these different approaches, all of these different things. And then once you get to the legendary stuff, which is sort of the realm of tier 3, you're going to start to see huge differences. +1 speed, +2 accuracy. When the survivor attacks a monster, 3 brain damage. Really interesting stuff. Merciless. You can't. There's 3 hit locations which can like instant kill it, and you can't now vanish. When vanish is drawn, remove the white line from the board. So it just goes, you can't attack it, and then it pounces back and absolutely crunches you. You can see this unlocks 0 presence, which is a secret fighting art. So you go to the book and have a little story event in the middle of the game. Now this is another thing I've learnt to love. I'm playing Seafall at the moment, and we're exploring, and every time we go to the book and we have a little story, and it's annoying, they get in the way, they take too much time, they pull you out of the game. Here, this might happen once every 2 fights, 3 fights, 4 fights. It is an event in its own right. It doesn't pull you out of the game, it immerses you more. So you can see there's loads of A's, there's a few L's, but you could have 2 back-to-back fights with a level 3 line, and they would be very, very different, because you're only going to see a smattering of those as you play. The event deck is quite light, so you're going to face the events, so you will run into the same events, but again, I think this is something which is evolving over time. So this is just trying to give you an overview of why the game, and its current form, as just the base game, is so cool. There's a huge variety. I've shown you 1 creature, okay, and we've done it really, really quickly. Yes, there are only 3 huntable monsters, but there are 7, I believe. So there's 3, a butcher, 4, 5, 6, and 7. 7 monsters, okay, so you're facing 7 monsters, and they all have different hit locations and stuff like that, and it's all really, really interesting. So let's have a little look at how my settlement. This is Lenten year 13. So we've got all of these innovations, okay, sacrifice, family, cooking, memento mori, bed, and these things are opening up new routes through, okay, petal spiral, and you can see that some of these are going to be specific. So the hovel's amazing because it opens up the ability to have saviours, which are really, really good. Scarification can give you some really amazing stuff, +1 luck, but it's a very big risk. The shrine is bonkers because it means all of my champions are going to walk away with +1 armour if I'm lucky. The lantern oven means I can start melting metal, so now I can do heat and stuff like that. There's also certain lifestyle choices, shall we say. So there you go, I've chosen to bury my dead instead of cannibalise them, and it's so immersive. Okay, look at all of the different things. This is all of the effects coming out of the game, and it seems overwhelming and it seems huge, but you've got to remember that this is building up slowly. You might see 1 or 2 of those each turn come out, so you're not getting that huge overwhelming impact. You're slowly building it up. These are some of the gear that I can choose. So this is the stuff I've built. So I've got an armour set, a greater axe, a gorm axe, so that one's from a expansion. My basic crappy cloth armour, blast shield, that was from the Dragon Knight. The black sword, that's my pride and joy, strength 10, absolutely insane. It took a lot to get to there, but you can see that these are all going to go into my little sheet, and I'm going to have to work out how to best place them down. Okay, each character is going to have one of these in their game, and we're going to have to work out what we should do. So where should we put these, because these little green symbols here are going to actually mean something as well. So maybe I want the leather armor or the rawhide armor kit, so I want to make sure I've got all of that in place. Just need to find the rest of the rawhide armor kit. So there's the hood, but I need that to have a blue affinity if I want to unlock the special ability that it comes with. So now I've got to start thinking about it. So the rawhide vest ties in nicely to that. The gloves tie in nicely to that, and now I've got +1 evasion. Okay, but I've got a shield at this point. This is actually quite a nice defensive setup. Oh, I've got a shield, I haven't got a weapon. So maybe I'll bring in my monster grease to give me slightly more evasion, but that's going to waste my lovely thing, so that's a shame. The greater gax is lovely. It's got deadly, it's got reach, it's got everything I would want, but I really want this blue and a red, green and a red, and so there's a green and a red here, and I can't get the green and the red. If I move this one and find something with an up green, then I can have a green between these two, but now I can't have the red. So you've got this little mini spatial puzzle as you build up your gear, and each time you're building more gear, and the range of gear is insane, and you can go down a bow specialism or a tank specialism, and so on and so forth. It's the choice. The choice you get in this game is just incredible. A lot of people who are naysayers are the ones who've played the intro line. And in the intro line, it's fine, and you get a feel for it for sure, but you are wearing a cloth waist, and a founding stone is your only weapon. You don't see the fighting arts, you don't see the disorders, you don't see the events, you don't see the gear. You lose a lot of the flavour and the excitement. You don't even have terrain in the starting one. It's very basic, just an intro. So I think you can tell from the way I speak that this is a passion for me. It's a really, really fantastic game. And I'll just quickly grab some models just to show you how they look if they've been painted up properly. And I caveat this. I haven't got... Oh, they'll do. I caveat that I have not painted these. Gentlemen called Vincent and Stacy. And they're Wonder Cat painting on the internet. And they are fantastic. Look at the quality of the model. I mean, it is genuinely horrific. Okay, it's a monster. Literally, it is. The lion. This has been asked by me to paint it in shades of grey if anyone's interested. They come up beautifully. These are the intimacy survivors. You probably will get these in the expansion. I'm not sure. They came with the original Kickstarter. But there's just awe-inspiring models, and I haven't even got into the tactics of the Phoenix, which is vastly different from any other creature you're going to face. And each game, each monster has its own tricks and foibles and strategies to beat it. It's hugely interesting, it's hugely compelling, and it's hugely engaging. So be prepared for a long slog. Be prepared to be overwhelmed by the choice. And I'm just talking about the base game here. You do not need to spend 1.5k on this game. You may well want to after you've played it, but I think you're safer and wiser to just invest in the base game, get an absolute mess of fun out of it, and then look to maybe expanding what is this truly, truly inspiring world. So I hope you found this interesting. I will be doing another video with the expansions talking about what each one does and giving you a feel for why you might choose one over the other. But that has been Kingdom Death, the base game, and I hope we all have a fun Kickstarter.